Hi, everyone. I'd like to welcome you to our Chalet 2017 exciting teaser webinar. We're so excited that everyone's here, and I cannot wait to hear what our Chalet has in store for us. So my name is Marnie, and I'm a member of Girl Scouts of the USA, and I have been to the Chalet a few times, and I am so looking forward to my next time back. But I know we're all excited to hear about what's coming up. So let me go ahead and introduce our speakers for today. So first we have Tanya, and she is the World Center Manager, and she is from the USA. She has been at Our Chalet since June of 2013. As a lifetime member of Girl Scouts of the USA, she grew up attending camps and traveling with her Girl Scout troop. This ignited a passion for the organization, which she likes to share with as many people as possible. In her free time, she enjoys reading, hiking, snowshoeing, and cross-country skiing. And what you're going to come to realize is many people today love music. And Tanya loves music, and she is a member of the Adelboden Choir. Second, we have Nikki, and she is the Deputy World Center Manager for Operations. She is responsible for marketing, guest services, maintenance, and all of that yummy food through catering. She is from the UK and has been at Our Chalet for 2 years. She has been in guiding since she was 7. She and her husband both play brass instruments and the Salvation Army Band and in the brass band of Fruitigan. And then we have our program team. Jen is from Finland and has been at Our Chalet for short bits and pieces since 2007. She is currently the Deputy World Center Manager of Program. She manages the program department, which includes event planning, managing the volunteer experience, and adding fun to everything that happens at Our Chalet. In her free time, Jen loves to explore the mountains, go sledding, skiing, snowshoeing, and she also loves just enjoying the snow. Jen is a member of the local choir, which sings in many languages, including Swiss German, and they've taught her how to yodel. I told you everyone's so musical. Now we have Sarah. Sarah is from sunny Miami, Florida in the USA. She's been a scout for over 20 years. She started her scouting journey as a child and has been a staff member in the US, as well as a volunteer and now on the staff at Our Chalet. While at Our Chalet, she fell in love with the chalet and Adelboden and all the wonderful people who live and visit at Our Chalet. She is thrilled to have the opportunity to return in a staff role. She loves spending time outdoors, although that means two very different things in Miami and Switzerland. Sarah grew up near the ocean and spent a lot of time snorkeling and scuba diving. And let's be honest, the Alps are a little bit different. And finally, I want to introduce you to Tanya. She is from New Zealand, but she's coming to us from Northern Ireland, where she's been a member of guiding for 26 years as a leader. And she started her adult career with Brownies and Guides. And she just started a ranger unit, but spends most of her time with her passion group of guides. And they actually came to visit Our Chalet recently. So she has some awesome inside leader tips for us. Okay, so I think it's time for us to go ahead and toss this over to our friends at Our Chalet to tell us what's coming up in 2017.
Wonderful. Thank you, Marnie. And we want to really give a big thanks to Marnie, who helps out with girl guiding and girl scouting, not only in the U.S., but around the world with many different projects, including helping us with webinars. So thank you, Marnie. We are excited here at Our Chalet about the Swiss Challenge events in 2017, and we're really getting rolling. And so we want to make sure that everyone out there has as much information as possible to prepare for this. So we're going to start today with the topic of transportation, because I know that's on many people's minds when they first start their planning.
Thank you, Tanya. So transportation, it can be quite daunting traveling to a new country, into Switzerland, if you're coming from a long way away. So there are a couple of airports you can fly into. Zurich and Geneva are the main ones. And from there, each airport has a train station. And you can take the train there to Frutigen, which is our nearest train station, and transfer to the bus up to Adelboden. We offer a luggage transfer from Adelboden Oi up to the chalet. And you can get tickets that come direct from the airport to Adelboden and back again. These are Scout and Guide transfer tickets and are available from the Switzerland Travel Centre in London. The details are here. You can also plan your journey ahead of time by using the Swiss Railway website, which is available in many languages, including English, and allows you to plan your journey exactly, which train, which bus. It often gives you guidance on which platform the train will be on as well, which makes it a little easier transferring between trains.
Cool. We have a question about luggage.
Okay.
Yes, who will pick up, who do I need to confirm with about my arrival time, and how are our luggage be picked up, and do I get to take a ride with my luggage?
Okay, that's a good question. So the luggage transport is available during office hours, so that's 8 a.m. till 6 p.m. And we will come down to the bus stop with the van and collect the luggage, and usually the group leader of the group, and that person will come up in the van to the chalet to start the booking in process. And then there will be a member of our staff who will walk the remainder of the group up the mountain to the chalet. With confirmation, we would prefer to confirm 48 hours in advance, which gives us plenty of time to arrange a driver and make sure we have everything in order for collecting you from the bus stop.
We also can help you with, we have information on how to book a taxi if you would like to do that if you're arriving before or after office hours. And if you let us know on your passenger manifest about anyone with mobility issues, we can work out transportation as well for them with the luggage transport. Any other questions, Marnie?
I don't think so. I think some people are a little interested about the hill, but I think we're going to talk about that in being prepared to do all of the awesome physical things.
I will say that it's about 1 kilometer walk with a steady incline, maybe even more than steady in a few spots. Okay.
All right.
Okay, so if we move along to the guest services slide, we have here at Chalet a reception and shop area. It's usually open between 8 and 9 a.m. And then again after program, so that will vary depending on what time the groups return from either hiking or a town day. Reception is a good place for general questions. Staff can usually answer all of the questions, and they can process bill payments. We sell snacks, souvenirs, postcards, and stamps, and many other items in there. But we do only accept Swiss francs and credit cards. So that's something to bear in mind. We also have other facilities on site. We have a laundry room, which has a washer and a dryer. Both are 3 francs for a cycle of washing and drying. It takes roughly 1.5 hours for each cycle, but there's also space in there to hang your clothes up if you would prefer to dry it that way. We have Wi-Fi here at the chalet. It is by a code process, so you purchase a code for your device and they're available. It's 1 franc for 1 hour, 2 francs 50 for 3 hours, and 6 francs for a 24-hour time period.
Okay, we have a question coming in about money. So you said everything is preferred in cash. So where is that correct?
Yes, that or a credit card for larger payments, yes.
So where is the nearest ATM or place that a traveler should get cash?
Okay, so if you can purchase it before you travel, that would be the best way to do it. But if not, the airport will have facilities, although not necessarily the best exchange rate. And then there are cash point ATM machines in the village, and you'll encounter those on your days in the towns on town trips too.
But often you won't go to town before your first need for cash, so it is important to get it at the airport on your way here if possible.
And what if I don't want, we have some concerns in the chat here about Wi-Fi, and some people are asking, like, it's good for my girls maybe not to have so much contact back home. So what if I don't want my girls to have access to the Wi-Fi?
That's not a problem. You would just let us know at check-in, and then we'll notify all the reception staff to make sure that we don't sell it to your girls. We'd just ask everyone that wanted to purchase it which group they're with, and we'd have the group identified so we wouldn't sell it to them.
Oh, nice. Very good. Cool. Right.
Okay, so next slide. These are other few things that we have here in guest services. We have an emergency phone, which is in our reception area. It'll be pointed out at check-in, but it can be used overnight for emergencies. And we also have a fire emergency point, which will be pointed out at check-in as well, so that we have a good process in place if the fire alarm should go off. And then we also do, as part of the program and guest services combined, we do patrol service duties, which we ask the girls primarily to do. Leaders can assist if they would like to gain the hours and the time towards their Our Chalet challenge. And they will do a range of tasks within their patrol over the duration of their stay. They'll include setting the dining hall for dinner with assistance from our staff, likewise setting up for breakfast. They'll help with rubbish and recycling, which is a very important subject here in Switzerland, and they'll help with restocking the bathrooms.
And for those of you who may not be familiar with the 1730 to 1800 kind of code-looking thing there, those are international or military times. So that's 5:30 p.m. to 6 p.m. that we do those patrol service duties. Moving on to health and safety, we want to mention, so that each of you can help us as you are traveling, to watch out for a pest that has over about the last 10 years become a big problem for travelers sometimes, and that is bed bugs. This year we were lucky enough that a few groups caught that the places they stayed along the way or the transportation they used may have been a problem for them. And if you're able to tell us as you check in, we have ways to help you rid your things of bed bugs. And so we definitely would like to know before you move your luggage into our rooms. But we also want you to be aware of the issue so that you can check your luggage carefully throughout your travels and as you return back home to make sure that you don't do anything to spread bed bugs internationally and around the world. So there are lots of websites online that can help you with things to do, ways you can empty your luggage outside, check through things as carefully as possible, and use high heat dryers or freezing to take care of bed bugs. And so we just ask that you work through different sources online or contact us if you have concerns, but certainly be aware that this is a problem internationally. from every country. There's no country at this point that seems to be without, and so we would like to limit the exposure here at Our Chalet by having everyone prepare ahead of time.
Okay, are there any questions for them?
Well, I see that this is covering health and safety. Is there what are the first aid things? Am I, as a troop leader, responsible for all the first aid for my girls?
We do ask that leaders of the groups prepare with any medication that the girls might need during their stay. So the Our Chalet staff is not able to provide any medication, but always when we go out with you on program, we do carry first aid kits, and if there's a situation where the leaders of the groups need support with first aid, we're always happy to help. We also have really good doctors in the village, a couple of them, and the nearest hospital is only 20 minutes away, so help is near if it's needed.
Okay, so meals here at the chalet. Breakfast takes place each morning between 8 and 8:45 a.m. It takes place in the main chalet building in the dining hall and is self-service. So there'll be a table laid out with food on and a table with drinks, and you can move around there and get what you would like. We serve a range of different foods. There's cereal, there's bread, there's toast, there's yogurt, there's tinned fruit, there's a range of teas and coffee. And at the same time, for your days where you're going to be going off site, you'll use that same time period to make your packed lunch, either at the back of the dining hall or outside on the kitchen veranda. And often it's a good time to have some people make their packed lunch and then get their breakfast, just because sometimes there's quite a lot of people trying to move around in a fairly small space. But there's a range of things for lunch. Ham, salami, cheese, tuna, eggs, so you can make up some sandwiches with some salad items, and then there's a piece of fruit and a snack bar, a savoury snack and a sweet snack that goes with that. We'd ask you to bring with you a sandwich box to pop your sandwich in, and possibly a bigger bag to put the other items all together as well, so that it doesn't roll around in your rucksack. And a water bottle is very crucial as well. Dinner is served each evening in the summer at 6:30 p.m. and we all sit together to eat dinner. So it's family style. Everyone sits down and we have a routine where you find a trefoil under your plate that makes you the waitress for the table for that evening. And the staff are on hand to help you bring the food to the table and to clear up at the end of the meal, separating out the recycling and the cutlery from the plates and so on. We do cater for as many special dietary requirements as possible, but we do need to know about those in advance. So you will receive a passenger manifest form, and it's really important that that's returned to us as soon as possible, at least 4 weeks before your arrival. But you can email us with updates that occur in between that and your arrival date, so that we can look at what we need to do from dietary requirements and to get in touch with you if there are any things that will be we have more questions about. Dinner is also available on your free day, but if you're out and about and won't be back for dinner, we just ask that you let us know so that we don't cook your dinner unnecessarily.
So we have a question about dinner. Is there only one entree available?
Yes, there is. So we have a different meal each evening, but we have a sort of, there's usually a main dish. It's often a meat dish, and there'll be a vegetarian or a vegan version as well. So we have things such as spaghetti bolognese, chicken carbonara, beef chili, cottage pie, and some more Swiss traditional foods such as rosti and alpine macaroni.
So what do you suggest if we have picky eaters?
That you get in touch with us beforehand so we can work out a plan of what we might be able to feed that person. If you can have had a conversation with them and work out what they do eat, and we will do our best to accommodate that as best we can across our meal plan for the week.
The other thing is you might have to bring some extra supplies for them, and that may go also for some severe allergies or times when we may contact you back based on something on the passenger manifest. So certainly there may be times when we need you to also provide a little extra food if there's specific things that they want that we can't get here. And then also, it's a great time to prepare the girls for the fact that they will be in a new country and can try new things and maybe practice eating different foods that they're not used to ahead of time so that you do know ahead, because sometimes you don't know they're picky until they come and there's food that's different than they're used to. That moves us on to program, the fun stuff. Not that food's not fun.
So before we jump too deep into the program and all the fun stuff, we have a few pieces of paperwork that I would like to talk you through. So, well, here at the top of the slide, you'll just get a bit of an overview of what the package includes. So we always start with an on-site day that gives everybody a chance to get to know each other and maybe have a little rest after their busy travels. And on that on-site day, we also do a leaders meeting where everybody gets to bring any questions that we didn't answer in the webinar. Then we have two bus excursion days where we take you to a couple of nearby cities and do a bit more touristy activities. We have two full-on hike days and then an adventure activity day where we do a lot of high ropes activity. And just to make sure that everybody is safe on all of those days and knows how to behave and all of that, we are going to, before you come, ask everybody to fill in an Alpine Activities declaration form. So that's basically just a form that says that you, as the leader of the group, understand that it's important to follow the lead of the staff members and that you are in charge of your group's behavior, that you will be bringing that first aid kit and the medication that the girls might need. And basically just will be their main point of contact and helper during the week. And then Nikki already mentioned the passenger manifest, which is another piece of very important paperwork. It's also important for the program team because if there are any medical conditions that might affect the participants' participation in the programs, that's really important for the program team to know. So this could be anything like if you have a participant who is diabetic, it might be helpful to have another pair of eyes who is aware of that, and then if anything goes wrong, we'll have an idea of what might help. And then when you go out with us on program, we very much like to make sure that we also bring back the same number of guests and the same guests that we took out at the start of the day. So that's why we ask everybody to sign out if anyone decides to for example, make their own way back or take the taxi back from one of the activities. So it's just a case of letting the program leader of that day know that a couple from your group will be making their own way back, and then also letting the chalet know that when they have gotten back to the chalet. Then weather in the mountains is something that definitely needs some preparation. So it changes very fast here. And especially because we are so surrounded by some high mountain peaks, sometimes the weather just rolls over the peak and changes in 5 minutes, and suddenly you're in a thunderstorm, or you might start your hike day in proper beautiful sunny summer's day and come back with a little bit of snow on you. So you do need to prepare for everything. We are also at a slightly higher altitude than most of our guests live at. So that doesn't affect people very much, but you might feel it on the first few days combined with all the tiredness from travels. You might feel a bit more tired than usual because of the altitude, and that also makes you breathe a little bit more and lose a little bit more water. So eating and drinking well is something we definitely like to emphasize, and on the hikes we take frequent water stops and snack breaks.
So Jen, we have a question from another adult. What happens what's the situation? They see that there's a lot of hiking involved. What happens if they have their co-leader or whatever has a a bad ankle or something that maybe they can't do all of the hiking and things like that?
That's actually really important for us to know ahead of time as well. So if you do have participants or leaders who have some kind of physical limitations like that, there might be cases where we are able to transport them for part of the hike day, so that they might be able to join later on in the day. And some of our activities, they might be able to be, for example, transported to the gondola station and then join the group and take the gondola up and pretty much participate in all the fun stuff of the day. As for every group and every underage participant, they always need a leader from their own group to go with them. So as long as there's another leader from the group going with them, that should be fine.
Okay. And we have a question about weather. Of course, everyone wants to go and have that beautiful experience in the Swiss Alps, but what if it rains the whole week? Is there a rain plan?
Our rain plan actually is just to go and hike anyway.
Love it.
It's
Love it.
it's actually surprisingly fun to just go out in the rain and embrace it, and it certainly makes you appreciate your company a lot more when you can't see the mountains. You get to sing all the fun hiking songs that you know and play some games from different countries. So pretty much any weather except for thunderstorms, we'll try to do the program as planned. And if a bad thunderstorm hits, we do also have plans for that. So we have things that we can do instead of the chalet if the weather really doesn't allow it.
Awesome. And one third question. So if one of my girls is sick, can I just leave her behind and go on and do all of the activities? Or what's the rule if someone in my group gets ill?
So in that case, we do need an adult from the same group to stay behind with that participant and maybe go to the doctor with them. So our chalet staff is not able to be in charge of underage guests without a leader from the group.
Cool. All right.
Okay, I think we'll move on to the physical preparation.
This program is a physically challenging one. There are multiple hike days. You're hiking long distances. You might be going up quite a steep ascent at times. And so there's quite a bit of preparation that we feel could be done ahead of time. We think it's important to build your cardio and stamina just so that you're prepared for how physical the days are going to be, and make sure that your girls understand that it will be difficult and challenging at times, and that their attitude is very important. So when girls are struggling, or when it's going a little slower than maybe some of the girls think it should, remember that we're working as a team and that we are going to encourage each other and help each other through these challenges. Some of the things we think could be good indicators that you're ready are being able to walk 10 miles in one day and able to do another long distance the following day. If you can run 5 kilometers or 3 miles without stopping, and can you climb 5 flights of stairs without stopping? So we think these are fairly good indicators that you could be ready for the physical challenge of this event. We do have Tanya from Northern Ireland if she wants to share anything about her experience in preparing for the Swiss Challenge.
Hi, I think that we all read about the requirements needed, that you need to do a lot of exercise and practice, and that really is important. My guide unit did not do enough practice. Some were fitter than others. That often it's because of exam periods just before summer. They may not have been out walking as a unit. So I would recommend that everyone gets out as much as possible, and if you think you've done enough hiking practice, do a little bit more than that actually, really, because like we've said already, that there's multiple hike days. Some things, the adventure activities days require walking to the activities, and so obviously the hike days do as well. Some of the areas, I think you can overestimate though that or over worry that you haven't done enough exercise at the other extreme. Saying about being able to run a long distance, that's really good, and the fitter that you are, the more you'll enjoy the activities. But if you can do some of these things and encourage each other, that's important. You're working as a team, encourage each other to get out and walk, and if someone's going slow, work together as a team.
So
Can't really
Tanya,
think of much else.
I was gonna say we have a question for you as an adult. You know, how did you get yourself fit, or are you already like super fit and it was like no problem? But as an adult, I think that there's some concern about weren't as fit as we were when we were younger.
No, I'm definitely not as fit as I was. I think that it's more for the adults. I think we need to make sure we're going out there and doing that walking, even if the girls themselves can't come with us. Make sure as an adult that you can do it, because and I have to be honest, I couldn't run 5 kilometres without stopping, but I can climb 5 flights of stairs without stopping. So just I would say as an adult, get out and walk as much as possible. If you catch a bus or anything, get off. Like they always say, to get fitter, do some of that. I was able to do it. I wasn't able to do the overnight hike. I recognised I wouldn't be able to do that, so I didn't go on that. I sent one of the other leaders. But like I say, do as much exercise as you can as one of the leaders, because like we've already said, if you're not able to carry on with the group can't go if they don't have another leader with them. So you really want to make sure you get as fit as you can.
I think you also said something awesome about partnerships and like being sure that your other leader like kind of fills in where maybe the main leader doesn't actually have everything, so then you can work really well as a team and give your girls the opportunities to do anything that they want to do at Our Chalet.
Yes, we made sure that there was one of our leaders who was going to be able to do the overnight hike. I would have really liked to have done that, but I just knew that I would hold the girls up and I wanted them to be able to enjoy it. So work as a team. Choose your skills between your team.
Okay.
And I would like to say the indicators list that we have here is not you need to be able to do all 3 things, but those are different indicators. So if you can already run 5 kilometers, you're good to go. You don't need to prep a lot more and things like that. But if you can't, then you might want to do things that get you closer to that stage.
Exactly, yeah. Like I say, I couldn't do that, but I can do the other one. So, I mean, I felt that I would have liked to have been fitter, but I had done some stamina practice and had been out walking, so I felt I was fit enough. It was always good to be fitter.
Okay. Any other questions, Barney?
Nope, that's all we have.
All right, so then on to another thing that you can prepare ahead of time is the equipment. So every time we leave the chalet, we pretty much, every time we do a check that everybody's bringing the right equipment in their backpack, because we do go out from about 9 in the morning until 5 in the afternoon, and like I mentioned, the weather changes very fast. So it really pays off to be prepared for every kind of weather. And it says here suitable clothing and footwear. Well, what's suitable depends on the day and the activity, but especially for the hikes, we recommend something, trousers that are comfortable to walk in, that are kind of maybe even wicking, dry relatively fast, and are warm enough. And for the footwear, our hikes are quite different. So some of the hikes are mostly on paved roads, but all of them have some sections where it's more like uneven paths, maybe sometimes a little bit muddy and rocky, especially if it's been rainy. So hiking boots are something we definitely recommend. For most hikes, you can also do them in lower hiking shoes, but there are 2 hikes where we need everybody to have ankle support and proper hiking boots, and those are optional hikes for the keenest hikers in your groups, I would say. And it's important that the boots are a little bit waterproof and have good grip for those muddier sections and steep hills. Then everybody definitely needs waterproof clothing, so preferably a waterproof jacket and trousers. It does rain quite often, and many of the activities we do, you just cannot be carrying an umbrella when you're trying to climb up a climbing wall or zip lining off a bridge. You also will need some warm clothing, so sometimes when we sit down for lunch, even if it's a lovely sunny day, you might be near a river, it might get a little windy, or it might even snow, so you'll want always to have another layer, maybe a fleece or something warm in your backpack. You'll want that sunscreen and sun hat and sunglasses to protect yourself from the sun. It's a little bit intenser, more intense than it is in sea level because we're a bit closer to the sun. And lunch pack is something very important. So every day when you head out on program, you'll have a chance to pack your lunch, like Nikki mentioned, and we are trying to be as environmental with that as we possibly can. So we really, really want everybody to bring some kind of a wrapping a thing for your lunch. So many people just bring like a Tupperware container or lunch box so that we don't have to use plastic bags every day. You'll also need your water bottle. On most program days you can fill up at some point of the day, and all the tap water pretty much everywhere in Switzerland is drinkable, but you still want your water bottle to be between 1 and 2 liters so that you have enough for half a day of intense hiking in pretty warm weather sometimes. What's that in American measurements?
1 to 2 liters.
Oh really? You use liters? Cool.
Well, most water bottles have liters on them.
Okay. And then the last point, leaders need to, like I mentioned, need to have their first aid kits and any medication for the girls. And this is also kind of important because you as the leaders know the girls much better than we do. And it's important that the girls also check that the girls have the right things and that they are drinking. And we as the chalet guides might not be able to keep an eye on everybody and make sure they're drinking enough. So we'll rely on the leaders for that.
So Jen, we've gotten some questions about equipment. What if girls only want to wear trainers or sneakers the whole week? Is that okay?
We really don't recommend that. So trainers don't usually have enough ankle support for the uneven ground, and they also are generally not waterproof. So some kind of hiking shoes would definitely be preferable.
Okay, and what about hiking pants? Do we need those? Can girls just wear like jeggings or jeans or, like their school uniform pants?
I'm not sure what school uniform pants would entail. Jeans are definitely something that we don't recommend for the hikes or anything else that's full cotton. Cotton's gets very hot on hot days and really cold on cold days, and especially if they get wet, they get very uncomfortable and can get chafy. But you mentioned jeggings. I think quite a lot of people these days like to hike in running trousers, and they're actually pretty alright for the hikes. They're cool and protect your legs from scrapes if you're on the climbing wall. So I would say they work quite well.
What about yoga pants?
What are those?
It kind of depends on the pant, but as long as it covers your full leg for the days when you need true leg protection from either plants or like on the climbing wall, and is not full cotton. So some yoga pants have some spandex and things in them, and so they're not too bad. And if they're not too thick, then they're usually will dry okay if they do get wet. Whereas blue jeans get really heavy when they get wet and they get cold quite quickly. So most yoga pants would work fine.
Tanya actually reminded me of a question that we get quite often about hiking in short trousers or shorts.
Yeah.
So that's completely okay for us, but on the days when we go in the adventure park and go rock climbing, we do ask everybody to wear trousers that go below your knees, just so when you're on the wall you don't scrape your knees too much on the sharp rocks. And we sometimes, some of our paths go through high grass and other plants. There's not too many plants that are dangerous in Switzerland, but there is one plant called the stinging nettle that's definitely uncomfortable if you don't have long trousers on, if you happen to touch it. And there's, of course, some bugs around in the bushes that might bite you. If you're sensitive to that kind of thing, then long trousers might be more useful.
All right.
So on to our first program day. We start out with on-site day, where we begin with our opening ceremony. This is to welcome you officially to the chalet. We'll sing the chalet song, we'll do a flag ceremony, and you'll receive your chalet pin. We then go into our program, which is on-site activities, including campfire cooking, orienteering, environment sessions, and a taster session of Free Being Me. That day we also break the girls up into the patrol systems for the duty patrols, and we finish with in the middle of the day we have a barbecue lunch for lunch. Then we continue with our on-site activities. We will be doing a brief meeting with the girls to discuss a little bit about the activities for the week, and we will also have a leaders meeting to give our leaders some more information and prep them for the rest of the week.
So we have a question about that chalet pin. Can you tell us a little bit about it and why is it cool or something that we can get?
So we have a pewter pin that has been around for many decades, and you can only, or we ask that people only wear the pin if they have been here to our chalet on site. And so we present people who come to our events with this pin, but people who visit the chalet that aren't part of the events can also purchase it in the shop. But we do ask that people don't take that pin home. We have another pin that you can take home to friends if you want to share a pin with someone who hasn't been.
Cool.
Then on to our first excursion day, which is the Thun day, and on that day we actually start the day with the Stop the Violence program. This is something we'll talk a little bit more about on a later slide, so we'll skip that for right now. And then for the excursion day, we will first take a bus to a little town called Spiez, which is actually on the slide in the picture. And we'll have a moment at the harbor to have our packed lunches, and there's also a lovely cafe with really good ice cream if somebody wants some dessert. Then after that, everybody gets to choose what they want to do for the afternoon, and this is something we need to know ahead of time. So we'll be emailing all the groups in early next year just to get those choices clarified. But the options would be to visit one of the beautiful medieval castles by the lake, or to spend some free time in the old town of Thun. So the castles, at either of the castles you would have about an hour and a half to 2 hours to explore, maybe do a scavenger hunt, just to learn a bit more about the history. And then if you chose the Thun town, it's a lot bigger than Adelboden and has options for souvenir shopping. There's also a castle in Thun town that you might choose to visit, or just go and chill. There's even a McDonald's if you're really craving something a bit un-Swiss at that point of your week. And both of these options include a boat trip across the beautiful Lake Thun.
Is this one of the places if I wanted to go to an ATM I could go?
Yeah, for sure. So if you chose the town option, so didn't go to the castle, you would for sure have time to go to an ATM in the village of Thun. But near the castles, there's unfortunately no ATMs.
Our next excursion day is Interlaken. We start out our morning with a visit to the chocolatier. You get to learn a little bit about the chocolates that they make, their process, as well as do a tasting, which is always fun. Yeah. In the afternoon, you have a couple options. You can either go to Tremmelbach Falls or the Mystery Rooms, and then into Interlaken town afterwards. There is an additional option of rafting. It is an extra charge of 80 francs per person, but it is also an option if your girls really want something a little more high adventure.
For the rafting, do we have to submit that we want to do that before we arrive, or can we make a decision that day?
We would need to know ahead of time.
So that will come out in your planning packets before the event. You'll have a kind of a couple questions we need answered before you come.
And even though that sounds like a lot of extra equipment, you don't actually need to worry too much about the rafting equipment. The supplier that we use provides everything that you might need, so shoes, wetsuits, life vests and helmets. So all you need is your swimsuit for that. Then I think we're ready for our adventure day. So this is the day where everybody really gets some adrenaline. So we will start the day by walking to a nearby adventure park. And I say nearby, I mean about an hour's walk from Our Chalet. And there we have 3 options that are included in the package. So those would be abseiling or rappelling down off of a bridge. You could also try zip lining, which is in the picture on the slide. So just kind of zoom to the other side of the little valley across the river and then back again. And then there's a high ropes course that you can walk across and just try your monkey skills. And then there's one activity in the adventure park that's at an extra charge of 20 francs, and that is a pendulum swing, which is not quite like bungee jumping. You're very well secured with a chest harness and a regular harness, and you jump off the bridge and you kind of free fall for a couple of meters and then swing under the bridge while enjoying the beautiful views. It's really good fun and it's definitely quite scary. So you might want to talk about that to your girls ahead of time and prepare with the 20 francs in cash.
And also check with your member organization, your home country Girl Scout or Girl Guide rules to see if you're able to do that.
And then for the other half of the day, we will go to a nearby rock climbing wall, and it's a natural wall if the weather allows. So this is where rain would make us have to move indoors to an inside climbing wall. And there we'll put the girls in small groups of 3 people, and they'll get to learn how to belay each other and then try all the different level climbs in those small groups. And for all these high ropes activities, it may be good to know that there is a weight limit of 120 kilos. So just maybe mention that on the passenger manifest ahead of time if you have someone who is a bit bigger than that. Are there any questions about adventures?
No, I can say that I did went to the adventure park one time and it was totally thrilling. It was super fun. Okay, so on to the woodcarver hike.
Our Woodcarvers Hike Day is a hike to the traditional Swiss woodcarvers workshop. It takes us about 2 hours. We'll visit the woodcarvers, see all of the amazing things that they make, speak to them a little bit about what they do, and then we can also visit the cafe next door for lemon cake, hot chocolate, soda, anything that you'd like. Both of these places do prefer cash. The woodcarvers will take card if it's a charge of over 30 francs, but anything under 30 francs and the cafe both require cash. So it's important to make sure you take out Swiss francs for this day. From there, we walk to have lunch by the river in quite a peaceful little spot where we'll all eat our packed lunch, and then we have about an hour-and-a-half hike into town. In town, you have some time to explore. We do have a scavenger hunt that we can provide that will take you around town, getting to know a little bit more about it and looking around. You can also do some souvenir shopping there as well. From there, we walk back to Our Chalet at the end of the day.
And the woodcarver is kind of a legend, isn't it? Or he?
Yes, very much so. We've been going to them since 1945, so they're very much a part of the chalet and the chalet program.
And I get to talk about Sarah's favorite program day, the Elsigen hike day. So this is a day that's a little bit complicated to explain, but at least you don't have to make any of these choices before you get to the chalet. So in the morning, we will put everybody in a couple of different groups, depending on whether they want to do the slightly more challenging hike, where you hike about 3 hours kind of straight up to the Alp. It's not quite straight up, but still a proper incline. And then if you go on the high road route, you would, at the end of the day, take the gondola down. So you have about 3 hours of hiking and it's all uphill. And the other option would be taking the low road, which is about 2 hours on relatively flat roads, although Swiss flats is not quite flat on other country standards necessarily. And the people who choose the low road would then take the gondola up to the Alp, meet the other part of the group there, and at the end of the day, they would walk down to the gondola station, which is about an hour's downhill walk. And then at the end of the day, everybody would take a bus back to our chalet. But this day is really fun in that everybody in the event gets to meet at lunchtime and usually have lunch together around one of the lovely mountain lakes that are properly high up in the mountain. And if the girls want, they can go swim in one of the lakes or maybe paddle. For this one, it's maybe good to know that our chalet doesn't have any lifeguards. So if your member organization, again, requires that you have a lifeguard present for the swimming, you might choose to just ask the girls to paddle in the lake and splash around without properly swimming. And then there's a couple of options in the afternoon. One of them would be to hike to a second natural lake. It's like a glacial lake that in the start of the summer is quite full and absolutely freezing. And then sometimes towards the end of the summer, it dries almost completely and might just have a tiny puddle left in August. Some people, if they're very tired, might choose to just chill at the restaurant, have a hot chocolate, read a book, and chat with their new friends. And then if you have hikers who are really quite adventurous and want to challenge themselves a bit more, they might choose to hike to the peak of Elsigen, which is the mountain you're kind of climbing. And up there you have a chance later on in the summer to see the very rare, beautiful Edelweiss flower. And if it's a good day, a lovely view of the valleys around. But it is a challenging hike on steep and muddy and rocky paths. And it takes about 3 to 3.5 hours round trip.
So we have a question about swimming in the lakes. So can you tell us a little bit, are we allowed to swim in both lakes? Is there only one that we can swim in? And are there any rules? Is it a regular swimming costume, or are there any rules to that?
So we don't have any rules about the swimming costume, although we do prefer that some kind of a swimming costume is used. And usually the first lake is the better one to swim in. It's more guaranteed water, but it's a man-made lake. But everybody meets together and has lunch by that lake. So if, for example, you have hikers who want to go to the peak, they would only have the chance to swim in that first man-made lake. And then if the participants choose to hike to the second natural lake, and if it's early enough in the summer or it has been wet enough that there is water in the lake, they will also have a chance to swim in that lake.
But you said it's really cold, right?
It's really, really cold, yes. I finish.
Awesome. Okay. All right. On to WAGGGS programs.
So our first WAGGGS program that we do is Free Being Me, which we do as part of On-Site Day. It is a program that is done in partnership with Dove, and it's all about promoting body confidence and a positive self-image and self-esteem within girls. Our second one, Stop the Violence, is a global campaign to end gender-based violence, and it explores the why and how WAGGGS is working to end violence against women and girls, and we do taster activities from the Voices Against Violence curriculum during the Stop the Violence session. It can be quite a difficult subject, so we do ask that leaders familiarize themselves with their country's policies about disclosures from minors, just so in case of something they are prepared to deal with any disclosures. And it is a good idea to make sure that your girls are familiar with what it is and comfortable with taking part in the session. Both sessions are voluntary. They are not mandatory, so if you have girls that you feel won't be comfortable with the subject, they of course do not have to participate.
And you can see here our cat Skippy is making a stand for equality. But that also reminds me that we probably should mention that we have a cat here at our chalet who is only allowed in essentially the office reception area and outside, but she is around for those people who enjoy cats, that you can often catch a glimpse of her around breakfast feeding time. So I think we'd like to maybe have Tanya talk from Northern Ireland talk about this program and what she found, how her girls enjoyed it or what they got out of the program.
Hi. Well, we attended both the Free Being Me and the Stop the Violence programs. However, our group decided we had guides and rangers with us. So we had 3 12-year-olds, and from 14 to 17 were the older ones. The Stop the Violence, personally, we felt that it was really excellent for older girls. We didn't think it would have worked with our younger girls, and in fact we sent those girls off with one of the leaders, and that was the right decision for us. Our girls in Northern Ireland had discussed some of these issues, and they felt quite comfortable talking about them, but the ideal thing I would recommend is that the leaders really need to be there as well, but separate than the girls, so the girls can mix with either just within their own small group, if that's how the leader feels it works best, or mixing amongst Girl Guides and Girl Scouts from the different countries, but that the leaders sit separately, so it gives the girls freedom to discuss, but also the leaders know what's been talked about. So I really recommend the Stop the Violence, but like I say, with that understanding that it is aimed at older girls. You may have mature younger ones who are able to discuss it. The Free Being Me, I think it was fantastic to show that there's no cross-cultural beauty standard, that beauty's subjective. Our girls really found that helpful, that the people they look up to and admire, pop stars, etc., and lots of those people are airbrushed. They may think they're beautiful and they're actually airbrushed out. Their posters, etc., are not what people really like. So I think we found that really helpful. And once again, I think that's a good program as well.
Great, thank you.
So I think we're ready to move on to evening programs. And in the Swiss Challenge events, those usually run from 8 till 9:30 approximately in the evening. So on the first night, we always start with the Our Chalet tour and orientation, so that everybody knows where to find the laundry room and what to do if they need to get more internet codes or something like that. And they also learn a little bit about the history of the chalet. Then we have our international festival, which is usually really fun, where you really get to know the other people who are in the event with you. So for that, we ask all the groups to prepare with their presentation about where they come from, something between 5 and 10 minutes, and it can be pretty much anything. We do ask that you don't bring a PowerPoint presentation or something that requires a screen and a projector, but a lot of groups have done some really fun skits and quizzes and dances and that kind of thing. And then at the end of the night, there's a chance to do some swapping, or if somebody wants to bring some treats from their country, that's also an option. And if you want to know ahead of time what other countries people come from, you can always send us a quick email and ask us, so that you know if everybody else is from the United States and Canada, you might choose to do presentations more about your state instead of the whole country, or maybe team up with other groups. And we also do have our international staff, so even if your event group might be Northern America, we definitely have some other countries on staff that you get to interrogate about guiding in our countries. Then we have our Swiss night, where we test your knowledge about your host country, and you'll get to experience some genuine Swiss music and maybe even some treats if you do really well. We have a twilight hike, where we usually walk towards some really pretty waterfalls that are not too far from the chalet to just go and see in the evening. And it usually gets dark by the time you get back to the chalet, so you'll need your torches or headlamps. And games night is actually my personal favorite. So that's a team building activity where we mix everybody up so that everybody gets to meet people from other groups. And then we have a load of different little team challenges around the chalet site. And it's just lots of fun and running around and trying to solve those puzzles. And then finally we finish the week off with a closing ceremony and campfire and sing everybody's favorite campfire songs and give it a good finish.
So we have a question about, what if my group is just exhausted? Do we have to participate in these activities? What is the expectation?
Well, that's an excellent question that we also actually hear quite often. So this is again something where the preparation really helps you, because I'm sure everybody, when you come to Switzerland, you want to participate in as much as you can. So definitely prepare, have that good stamina, and make sure everybody gets some sleep and doesn't just chat with all the new friends all night. But if your group still is really tired in the evening, it's entirely fine to step out of the evening program and just go sleep instead. We would appreciate if somebody lets us know if, for example, a whole group is going to take the evening out, just so we can prepare the equipment and materials for the right number of people there.
Now, a program people always have a lot of questions about and are very excited about is our Butterspits overnight hike. This is an additional hike to the event program, so it's an additional cost of 15 francs per person and 3 francs if you'd like hot chocolate. Butterspits is at 2,546 meters, so it's quite a tall mountain, and you have to be fit and confident to do the 1,300 meter ascent. It is a steep hiking pass, and it is done predominantly in the dark because we are waking up to see the sunrise. The way the program works is that we leave the chalet at 7:30, and we have about an hour-and-a-half hike up to the cheesemaker's hut, which is where we spend the night. That's where you would get your hot chocolate, and it's where we grab a couple hours of sleep before we wake up to begin our hike up to the peak. The hike to the peak takes us about 3 hours, and it's really important to have good hiking shoes and a good headlamp for that hike. From there, we watch the sunrise at the peak. It is weather dependent, a beautiful, beautiful sunrise, and quite spectacular, and really a special experience for anyone who participates. After that, we do the hike back down, where we return to the chalet about 11:30, and that is the free day as part of the event. So you have time the entire day if you want to rest, have a little nap, or do some gentle exploration around the valley.
And did you say, do we have to decide before we come if we're going to participate in this?
We do our sign-up once everyone has arrived. So we'll do a sign-up, we'll put a sign-up sheet up in the dining hall for people and groups to sign up as they decide whether or not they'd like to do it based on how they're feeling throughout the week.
Okay, cool.
If everything we've described so far was not quite enough challenge for somebody, we also have the Our Chalet challenge, which is a little bit of something extra. So it's basically a badge you can earn while you are here at the chalet, and there are 5 elements to it. So physical challenge is one component. Then you can learn more about Our Chalet, Swiss culture, WAGGGS and the World Centers, and then do a little bit of service and some personal challenge as well. So the patrol duties that Nikki mentioned will cover the service component, and then the personal challenge might be something that the leader of the group can talk with each individual in their group about what it might be. So we've had some great personal challenges. For example, if a picky eater wants to challenge herself, she might choose to at least try everything that is served, or somebody might choose to do all the hiking without complaining. So the personal challenge really can be anything at all. And for this, you basically get a piece of paper while you're here. You fill in, get somebody else to sign all your challenges as you do it, and you have to make sure you have it done and hand it in at reception by 6 o'clock the evening of the last program day.
And then you get a patch or a badge to take home.
And is this only for girls, or are adults allowed to participate in the Chalet Challenge?
Leaders are also very welcome to do it. It's for everybody who wants to.
I think it's a lot of it's about attitude, that you're working together, you go as a team, that if you can bond together a bit as a team before you leave, that would be really good. And the whole idea is you're meeting girls from different countries around the world, and we would recommend from our guide unit that you try as much as possible to mix with others. I think some groups, if they've come and they didn't know their own team, first of all, they've stayed together. We formed closer as a team, but we also really wanted to mix with girls from around the world.
Thank you, and I would just like to take this minute to thank Tanya from Northern Ireland for joining us tonight, but also doing such a great job of preparing her girls for their adventure in 2016, which made it a wonderful week for not only them, but for everyone who is here at our chalet that week as well.
Thank you very much. We had a wonderful time, and we've got girls who want to come back as volunteers in the future.
Wonderful. We like to hear that.
So after watching the webinar, could our sisters at Our Chalet tell us how we can learn more about booking in or the opportunities that are available?
Yes, we would like for you to definitely visit our website. Our website has a booking link on almost every single page. And so if you aren't already booked, certainly go on there and do a booking inquiry to find out if we still have space for the time you're looking at. You may have to look at 2018 or 19 at this point, but especially for smaller groups, we often can fit smaller groups in at earlier times. And so, yeah, we would love for people to check out our website.
Awesome. Well, I want to say thank you to everybody who joined us today and asked really cool and insightful questions, and thank again Tanya from Northern Ireland, and thank the Our Chalet team for spending their time with us today. I hope everyone's excited to go to Our Chalet.
Yes, and thank you, Marnie, for all your help. And I will say, not only our website, but if you have questions, you can send questions to info@ourchalet.ch.